Good to go. Morning, mate. Good to see you this morning. We're going to be having a quick yarn about buying and selling as well, cryptocurrency. Get a few questions about those. And yep, full disclaimer, I have purchased some. I got some, I think, for the first time in October last year. So coming up a year. And I haven't really moved too far from what I learned. Well, I've learned a lot more in that time, but I've still use the same things that I used in October to then buy and then hold the cryptocurrency that I've brought. So I thought we could make a quick video to answer those questions for people that send an email or send in a message on social media. And I know that, Mikey, you've done probably similar, but probably studied it a bit further than I, so you'll be able to add some value as well.
Yeah, that's full disclaimer from me as well. Like I own it, and I talk about it and enjoy it. I like the stuff. I've studied it pretty deeply, but I'm a mortgage broker and I'm a mortgage advisor, and I'm not a financial advisor telling you to go and buy Bitcoin with all your life savings and shit like that. So
yeah, same here. I guess for me, like when people ask me why did I buy cryptocurrency, I don't have property. I'm keen on the share market. That's my thing. I started looking at sort of what was happening in the economy with the amount of money getting printed and that sort of thing. And I could see house prices like running up, and I'm like, shit, unless I'm in an asset that's growing as fast as property, I am, to be fair, getting left behind if that's what I want to buy at some stage in my future. So I kind of used it as a bit of a hedge against what might be happening in the world. I brought like a bit of gold and silver type ETFs, trying to track that price, thinking, well, if the world shits the bed, then maybe I need some of that. So that was where my starting point started. And I guess I've just learned more about it as it's gone. And one thing that I noticed is that once you start to learn and understand why people are buying it, it's very evident that people just dismiss it because they're like, oh, that's a scam, or that's, that's so volatile, or that could go bust or whatever. And I spoke at an accounting event, and it was with some of the smartest people from some of the biggest companies across New Zealand from finance. And there was a guy from ANZ speaking, and he mentioned cryptocurrency and sort of went through a chart and was basically just dismissed it and was like, I've seen an economist, a well-known economist, do the same thing in New Zealand, and everyone kind of just laugh at it. And I'm sitting here going, shit, you guys are employed to be fairly smart and up to date with how finances and stuff are working in the world. Even if you don't want to hold it yourself, I'd suggest it's a very good idea to have a good handle on it. So that made me think, for those people that are very, very well educated and getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in financial roles, and they're going, fuck that, how is the average person in the street supposed to grasp this brand new concept?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's especially just Bitcoin, not talking about all the others, but man, like, I don't know how it can't be talked about anymore. Like, all of the Bitcoins added together at their current value are worth more than New Zealand's whole property market. And everyone with an internet connection can access it. So like, New Zealand's property market can't do that. Like, we're not going to have the government say, all right, anyone in the world can buy property here. It's just weird that people are really closed-minded to it. And I think it's because of the price volatility.
Yeah.
Mainly, like if it just kept going up like the share market and from to up and to the right, then it would probably be different. It looks like that when you zoom out on the charts. But yeah, with the big drawdowns and stuff, and it's heavily regulated in some areas and heavily unregulated in others. Like the guys that can day trade it can trade on 100x leverage, and it causes massive capitulation. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know why all economists aren't looking at it thinking, what is this? It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think you're getting to the point now where we said yesterday, for instance, that some of the big financial institutions are saying, hey, to their clients, hey, maybe you should have 1 or 2% of your portfolio sitting in different cryptocurrencies. So, it sounds like it's becoming a little bit more mainstream, and potentially the wave of money is still to come.
Yeah, well, look at that video you sent me yesterday, right? Like, there's the second largest mortgage company in America is about to start accepting it is payment on mortgages. So like the adoption's crazy. Like you've got all these guys, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, and Square, which has just bought Afterpay for multi-billions of dollars. Like he's in and he's integrating it. Like when you have that many smart people, multi-billionaires, it's hard to think that it's not something important.
Yeah, mate. That's actually one of the lines of thinking that I went down to give me a lot more confidence in it. I thought, shit, I'm not claiming to be as smart or successful as these people, but if like the smartest minds and the geeks who are going to become the next wave of people that we all, that become the most successful, if they're all working on this, there's something there, and I don't even need to necessarily understand it, and I just carry on with my day, but I'm happy to allocate some cash there. It's kind of how I invest too. I'm like, okay, if I see a good leader running an organization, I'm happy to invest into that organization because I know, okay, they've got a good track record at this. They know that they can do this. So for me, it's the same sort of concept. So I'll just pull up while we're here. Easy Crypto was what I used to purchase my first lot of crypto, and my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth. I haven't used any other platform. I haven't been massively, into comparing who's got a cheaper rate and all that stuff, purely because for me, like that's not a good use of my time. So I couldn't care if I pay an extra $1 to buy it, and I could have spent another hour finding a better way to do it, and I just take that hit. So I think this is a New Zealand-based company. That's right, based out of Wellington.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm the same actually. I've mainly almost always used them to buy it, and it's provided me a good service, so I haven't looked deeply too much into the fees. I know they're there. I've had people tell me there's other ways to buy it cheaper, but like I've never ever had an issue with them. Like they've been pretty cool. When I have had like minor problems, I've emailed them and they come back to me like really quickly. So for me, that's value. So I've just been using them as well.
Yeah, nice, mate. And I think, once you get on their mailing list as well, you start to educate yourself because they send out a monthly update, and there's plenty of articles and stuff that help you understand. Of course, it's just like normal money. I guess if you think about back in the day, if you had money, you'd then get a wallet, you put the money in the wallet. These days, it goes usually on the old internet banking, and you need a wallet to put that into as well. And I'll show you what we use for that. Or what I've used. I think Mikey would be the same. I just need to change my screen that it's sharing to. But I think on that, like one of the advantages of cryptocurrency, one of the problems it solves is that you can move money to people instantly, right?
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy how technically advanced it is now. Yeah. So like if here's the Exodus wallet, right? So you can imagine it like having this as your wallet in your pocket with New Zealand dollars in it, but you can store Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies in it, and it looks like an app on your phone, just like an app for ANZ Bank would look like on your phone with a little widget. You open it up and you see your stuff there, and then you can send and receive transactions. But because you can do it with like a coded address or a QR code, I can send it to England if I want at 3 a.m. on a Saturday. So you can transfer money across 24/7 across anywhere you like where the address is accepted, and it instantly transacts. It's pretty clever.
Yeah. And I think, we don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of, okay, what if you lose your phone, or what if you lose your laptop? Like, I think with those problems, like write them down as you come up with those barriers in your head of like, because you think with this through this technology now that somebody else would have thought of that problem and they would have solved it. So all the answers for those types of problems are there.
Yeah. It's if you lose, like how it works is you get a code and you write it down somewhere or remember it. I think with Exodus, I think it's 12 words or 24 words. And And if you remember that, it doesn't matter if you lose your wallet, you can always log back on, because the cryptocurrency, well, Bitcoin especially, is actually not stored off it. It's just coded and locked and still on the blockchain. So basically, you can never lose it if you don't go brain dead and lose your code. You can still get it from anywhere. Like, I've swapped over phones and stuff with Exodus, and it's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, but I guess if your house burnt down, for instance, and you didn't have a copy of that, you'd potentially be in big trouble, right?
Yeah, you got to be careful. Like, the point of it is it's self-sovereign, and you don't have a custodian that's holding your money. So basically, your value is stored in your head or wherever you'd like to store it. There's a company out there called Casa, which is what's called a multi-sig wallet. Without getting too complicated, it's basically protection from that. It's kind of like a will for crypto. So there's all sorts of things. If you want to go down that path, you can definitely protect it.
This is, can you transfer to any New Zealand bank via their app? So I think, well, two things. So you can basically purchase cryptocurrency via Easy Crypto through paying
any
bank. Yeah. But then I think they might mean, can you transfer from your Exodus wallet back into a bank? I guess the way I got to it was that Easy Crypto is like an on-ramp and an off-ramp to cryptocurrency. So you need to then use an exchange to then sell your cryptocurrency back into
so the best way, I think, for people, when I've explained it to people, is think of going to the airport and you need like Travelex or something to exchange your money. Like, you're going to Australia and you want to change over New Zealand dollars, except you're not going to Australia, you're going into the metaverse and you're buying Bitcoin. So you're going to the exchange, you're giving them New Zealand dollars, and then putting the Australian dollars in your wallet. When you come back from Australia and you've got money left over, you go back to the exchange and then convert the New Zealand dollars, the Australian dollars back to New Zealand dollars via the exchange. And Easy Crypto is that exchange. So you give them your New Zealand dollars, receive Bitcoin. If you want to sell Bitcoin, you give them your Bitcoin and you receive New Zealand dollars back in your New Zealand bank account.
I think one reason that it might have been slow in terms of like adoption here in New Zealand as well, and people to care about it, is because we can move funds around quite quickly, like fee-free between our mates and stuff without big problems. But there's some countries where you can't just move money back into a country. You'll get stung like 30% of that amount of money, won't you? Yeah,
so there's some really cool stats, and like the Western world doesn't care too much about this, but because I've studied it, it's really interesting. Like El Salvador is making Bitcoin legal tender, and like 20% of their GDP is from remittance from overseas via Western Union. So like transferring money from family outside, probably in America, and coming in, that makes up 20% of their GDP. They're a poor nation, right? And some of the fees on that, like sometimes it's 10%, but sometimes it's up to 40%. So if you send $1,000 and it costs $300 to do the transfer, the person on the other end is only getting $700. And like Bitcoin fixes that, you can send it instantly. They receive it in 10 minutes and they get the full amount. So that kind of stuff over time will probably pretty life-changing for like lower socioeconomic countries. I think the in Tonga as well, their remittance, so basically whatever money flows in through from international transfer is 40% of GDP. So it's massive, and like it fixes all that in time. It hasn't fixed it yet, but when you've got those huge fees, this multi-billion-dollar industry built off that, it's super disruptive technology.
I think two things that have been really beneficial for me in terms of crypto, like even if it went back, all of them went to zero tomorrow, like I think I would be a more valuable person for what I've learned along the way. And a few things, like one's just actually learning more about the economy, because that interests me. Secondly, like handling volatility and being careful of like do I want to check it every day and stuff like that, but actually then being like, why am I doing this? I'm not going to sell it anyway. And also setting a clear plan of why you have it. But one of the other things, one thing I really am fascinated about is consumer behavior and like the way the world's going and what people do rather than what they say. So as an example of that, people say, oh, don't use buy now, pay later. That's, those are bad products and people are getting stung and all this stuff. Yeah, but no one cares about your opinion. People are still doing it. So I'm like, if this is the next wave, but then down here in New Zealand, as always, we just ignore what's going on and carry on doing our thing and then be like, oh, fuck, how did we miss what was going on over there? You can see some of the biggest companies in the world are focusing on this, and they are talking about like the next version of the world being virtual and the metaverse that you just spoke about before. And you're like, wow, I'm going to trust a Mark Zuckerberg, trying to run a massive organization versus some economist in New Zealand who's like, oh, what's this shit? What's going on here? I'm like, I don't care about your opinion. I care about what people are actually doing, and people are actually doing a lot in this space.
Yeah, the behavior is definitely something to watch, right? Like it's not different for me, like what you're saying about the people involved, like investing in a company. For me personally, I look at the team and like the people, and like one of the reasons Tesla is so successful on the stock market is because Elon Musk is a disruptor, right? And people have backed him as one of the team members to follow. Jeff Bezos, same things. Like these guys have disrupted everything. And now that sort of similar group of people are coming into this space. So do you listen to, it's hard to like take advice from anyone, but if you're looking at it yourself, do you listen to an economist that writes it off and says that it's a scam, or do you listen to the guys that are already built trillion-dollar companies?
Yeah. I haven't sold any back out, so I couldn't answer this question for Liam here. How does it work when you cash out? Is it easy converting it back to physical cash? But Mikey, you've sold some at one stage, right? Easy?
Yeah, I just tested it to test like the liquidity of the system. So I sold out and bought back in and stuff like that. And via Easy Crypto, it's awesome, man. Like you buy the coin. Like if I go and buy Bitcoin, I bought some yesterday. It was in my account, in my wallet in like 10 minutes. And then back the other way, it's back in your bank account in similar time. Like the only thing is banks are closed on the weekend, unlike Bitcoin. So if you're going to do it outside of hours, it'll roll through the next day type thing. But yeah, it works. It's great.
I think as well, there's an unfair advantage for cryptocurrencies that are open 24/7 when it comes to trading and stuff and attracting all those types of people compared to, New Zealand Stock Exchange, 10 till 5, Monday to Friday. Sorry if you want to do anything outside of that. So like, again, just another advantage that.
Yeah, it's super inclusive, right? Like it lets the whole world, no matter if you're a hedge fund billionaire or like someone living paycheck to paycheck trying to do $5 or $10 transactions, it lets you do it at any time whenever you want. So it doesn't block anyone out of a market.
Daryl says, I use Easy Crypto and Exodus and recommend both. Any advice on hardware wallets? I leave that one for you, Mikey. I think you've done a bit of research into those.
Yeah, so there's a couple that I probably prefer. I like the Ledger. So it's a French company, and it's a hard cold wallet. Store your Bitcoin, lock it up. It's pretty cool. It's got like an app as well that you can look at it through your phone. So it's stored off your phone, but you can sort of called Ledger Live, this app that works. So it's all new when you first do it, and I tested it with a small amount first to put it on there and figured out that it worked. But yeah, apparently it's very, very safe. There's a couple. There's another one that I don't have called a Trezor as well. But yeah, I'd probably go with those. When you go onto Easy Crypto, there's articles on what are the best hardware wallets, and they recommend both of those as well. So
yeah, I think you look at Easy Crypto, they're working in this space every day. So leverage off the things that they're learning and the resources that they're putting out, because they're going to be answering these questions like every single day for their customers. So, if you want to follow them and be close to them.
They can't afford to provide poor advice in that space too, because it would be detrimental to their reputation. So I'm pretty sure the volume that they're doing is rather high. I know they've just opened up in South America or Brazil or something like that. So they're growing exponentially by the sounds of it, which is pretty cool. And if they had a whole lot of customers buy one of their recommended products, get scammed or turned to shit, yeah, that would probably not be a good thing. So follow them.
Hey, you've got a card as well that you can actually use to spend your crypto, right? So you've got crypto on.
No? I do. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you just have to be careful of the rules around transacting in it.
Yeah. So yeah, just on that from the accounting side of things. So crypto is basically treated like in the eyes of the IRD and our New Zealand government, they're like the only reason you hold this is to speculate and to make money. So say you put $1,000 into cryptocurrency, say like Bitcoin, and it triples in price, and you've now got $3,000, and you're like, wow, this is mint. I'm going to sell, and I'm going to go back to zero. You've got a $2,000 profit there. You need to pay tax on that profit. So be very, very careful around buying and selling, or even just moving from one coin to another. That's something that you should have a good understanding of. And I think most people, they probably want to be doing this for an investment longer term and writing the how big's this going to get, or are people going to continue to pour money into it? But yeah, basically the tax rules disincentivize using it for a transfer of money, which we've just been speaking about, which is kind of ironic because you think, well, that's what it's designed to do. But that's, I guess, how a lot of things start, right? They get then regulated because they're misunderstood. And then, sometimes it takes people to come along and test that and be like, hey, maybe we need to change the way we're thinking about that. But, leave that to the smarter people that have got more time than us. We'll just carry on doing our day jobs.
I mean, I'm buying it to not sell it really and not purchase with it. But it's going to get harder and harder for them. Like if El Salvador's made it a legal tender, like they also have US dollars, but if you change US dollars over when you come back from holiday there, you don't get taxed. So, I mean, if we wake up in 10 years and 20 countries have it as their legal tender and this catches on, it's going to be pretty interesting to argue, Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, the noise is only going to get louder, right? Simon Baker says, can you claim the losses? Then, yep. So if you are expected to return the gains, then yes, you can include your losses as well. So say you put in 10 grand and it crashes, well, you can put a $10,000 loss into your tax return. So you want to seek some advice from an accountant around that as well, but it does work both ways. So
doesn't matter, it goes up forever.
Here you go. What I'll do is I'll just pull up the as an example, Bitcoin price while we're here. Hopefully that's working. So that's the price as of right now, 72,038. And I guess if I refresh that, it's probably moving just about all the time. But as Mikey was saying before, it's volatile when you zoom in on it. You can see that over the last 5 days, you've been at 66,000 right down to 65, and today we're at 72. But the further you zoom out, then if you go from 5 days to a month, you're 46,000 a month ago, and now you're 72. So you've almost doubled your cash, in that month's time, the way that this is going. But even it's just tracking up, right? And then a year, and we see the massive high that it got to. I think it got to 90,000 New Zealand, 13th of April, and then it all sort of fell back a bit, but since the middle of July, it's been on a climb back up. And if we go out to 5 years, well, this is all when it sort of started, right? And well, probably beyond that. And then the 17 was when it went nuts and everyone first kind of started taking notice, and then went quiet. And then obviously with everything that's gone on in the world over the last 18 months, it's become a lot more of something for people to take a look at, and institutions to start taking it more seriously as well. So who knows where it will end up? There's some predictions that it'll end up, around $1 million a coin, $2 million a coin, $100,000 at the end of this year, US. So who knows? But I think this is a really good question. This is the classic thinking. Got in late, so may have missed something, but thoughts on Ethereum. I thought what I was going to say is, like, a lot of people are like, okay, why would you buy this now? Because you've missed getting in. And that's what often makes us stop from making decisions, right? Like, okay, why start exercising at 30 because I never did in my 20s? but you don't know how good it's going to be for you until further down the track. So that way of thinking is just like the classic human limitation that stops us from doing things. And we think, oh, damn it, I don't want to do that anymore. The interesting thing is that's not how anybody thinks about housing in New Zealand. They're also convinced that it's going to go up. So they're like, they don't go, oh, I've missed the good price, I'm not going to buy anymore. It's the fucking complete reverse psychology. So it's weird. So, this is what I mean about when you start studying something new like Bitcoin, you start to test your own thinking, and you're like, wow, I'm learning things about myself and the way I think that is completely polar opposite to how I think about different things in my life, like what's going on here. And you actually start to learn about yourself. So even like if all of this went back to zero, I believe I'd be a more valuable person for the time I've put into this. Ethereum.
It's pretty it's an interesting learning curve once you own it, because it teaches you so much about outside what you know. Ethereum,
I've got a bit of this, Mikey. You're a pretty big Bitcoin person rather than Ethereum, right? But
yeah,
I guess the reason that I brought Ethereum was going back to consumer behavior before, is that I thought psychology-wise, if more people take notice of Bitcoin, they will go, oh, that's too expensive. I want the cheaper version that could, well, there's a chance that this could go to 40,000. So like, I'd rather buy Ethereum than buy Bitcoin. So that's the reason I brought it. I didn't really do any study into what it does. I just went off the things that have worked for me in my life previously around the things that humans do, and it has worked out pretty well.
It's going to be Ethereum is going to be a great bet over probably, I would expect, like over the next sort of couple of years, but I don't expect it to, I don't know, there's so much conflicting information on this, but we can get into how decentralization works and everything, and it just doesn't have certain properties that Bitcoin does, but it's going to go on an absolute tear probably because it's piggybacking on Bitcoin, and it has that what is viewed as a cheaper entry point. Like I would call Bitcoin a safe haven asset compared to Ethereum. We'll see. I think it's probably going to go for a good run, and it will always probably hang around. But I don't treat it as a savings account like I do Bitcoin. I treat Ethereum as a speculation.
Yeah, nice. And like you say, we're not here to try and point people into what things to be buying. Do your own research, understand those things. There's way more exciting things than Bitcoin and Ethereum that people are getting into, like Dogecoin and Solana. Solana, that's the latest. Nuts.
You have to be so careful though. Like for anyone that's like goes onto Easy Crypto and sees these coins that are like $1 or $2 or whatever. A lot of them are centralized in a way where someone makes a coin and they make the total supply of the coin to 2 trillion, and they hold 1 trillion, then sell off the other 1 trillion coins to the market, and they just do what's called a rug pull, like it boosts off the start, oh, a new coin, chance to make money, and then the owner of the other half of the supply sells out and takes all your money. So you got to be careful of the space. Luckily, Bitcoin is divided up much nicer than that. There are definitely still what they call whales in Bitcoin, guys that own huge amounts of the supply, but not like these other scam coins, shit coins.
Yeah, I think just be careful with this whole space, right? Because it's so new. So that should always be your thinking. Like even the first couple of times that I spent money on Easy Crypto, I was like, before hitting click, I'm like, okay, Luke, you have to be prepared that this money is fucking literally about to disappear.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I still get the same feeling when I transfer a scary amount of money to somebody for the first time or whatnot. So it's the same, like you kind of just, it's the unfamiliarity and the uncertainty that is the scary bit. But like anything, once you do it a couple of times, I can kind of, I can understand this, and you get a bit more comfort with it. So just be careful like who you listen to, what you're doing, how you're storing your money, who you're telling about it, and all those types of things, because there's risks with like everything we do, and it's no different with this.
Yeah, 100%. It's a like the cryptocurrency arena is like the Wild West at the moment. So you'll like log on and look at coins, and there'll be 130% returns in 2 weeks. And generally speaking, they do it the other way too, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
There's 2 people worth listening to that I find interesting to listen to. One's a guy called Michael Saylor, who has a company that's listed in America, and he's basically taken all of their cash, US dollars, and turned it into Bitcoin on their what's called a balance sheet, so their company's assets. So you've then got to be able to explain to your shareholders why you've done that. And he's probably the most pro for Bitcoin person that you can find on the internet.
In the CEO space. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to understand, like, because people will know that I've got conviction, and I probably started learning the most from his stuff. So like, he's a CEO of a company. It had hundreds of millions of dollars on the balance sheet. He started realizing in COVID that $400 million is only going to have purchasing power of $300 million next year when they started printing money. And he tried to think of a solution, and he came up with Bitcoin. And like you said, he's got to convince his shareholders that it's a good idea, but he's almost done that publicly on YouTube. So he's been on CNN, CNBC. He's done streams with people inside and outside of the industry, podcasts. It's a really interesting guy. I mean, he took a $400 or $500 million position. Then he basically borrowed $1 billion as well and put that in. And now his balance sheet value is 105,000 Bitcoin, but it's also gone from a $400 million balance sheet to 5 billion or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really interesting story. And he's very good. He's one of the few academics that you hear talk who's obviously a genius. And he's an engineer and a rocket scientist and a computer scientist. But he's very good at articulating in a way that is easy to understand. So very, very cool person to listen to.
Yeah. I think what I've noticed changing over the last 10 years is that when we were growing up, right, like the best way to get ahead is to work hard. And I still believe in the concept of hard work and work ethic. Like, it's definitely helped me kick some massive goals. But I heard a saying, and it is that rich people don't work, they think. Now, whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. There's something in that. And I think there's something in that you can understand, is that you can leverage, you can still be a hard worker and choose to work hard, but you can leverage off of the people that are way smarter than you. And our grandparents, our parents didn't have the ability to do that. As an example of how we do that every day is, we'll go to the petrol station, for instance, and we will just blindly put the petrol in our car that we are told to do, and we don't go like, nah, you know what? I reckon I'm going to put diesel in today. This is going to be a smarter idea to put diesel in. Like, you don't have the smarts to know to do that. Like, somebody else has figured it out for you. Same when people go in and get an investment advisor, they're like, hey, look, I want someone smart to help me, and you're leveraging off someone else's thinking that's come before you. So the internet has allowed us to do that. And that's going to continue. And so people like Michael Saylor, for instance, they are so like on a different spectrum to me. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to try and be this person. I just need to do what they're doing effectively for the people that I really end up believing. And it might not be just in the finance space. It might be in social media. It might just be in nutrition or whatever. I'm like, okay, how can I leverage off of their smarts? The person on the other end of the spectrum who I listen to a lot and really learn a lot from, I know you're laughing because you know what I'm going to say, is a guy called Peter Schiff. And he is so good at explaining what's going on in the economy in America, and he hates Bitcoin. He's like, this is going to go to zero. This is a fraud. You guys are all so stupid. I can't believe this is still going. And he's like, you should be buying gold. I've told you for decades. So he's at the complete other end. So what I like to do with things that I find and get convicted in myself is like, okay, how do I stay balanced and be like, this person's saying this, but this person's saying the reverse of it. How can I make up my own opinion so that I'm not just like, you know, the people out there that are like, I vote National, and if you say anything, you know, good about Labor, I'm going to be like, nah, you're an idiot, you know. And those people, they get so stuck in one way, and fuck, it just limits their life for the rest of their life.
Yeah, massively.
Play that out. So Peter Schiff, he's well worth keeping an eye on as well.
Yeah, Peter Schiff, I follow him as well and watch his stuff, and he's like 0.5% too smart. I think he's missing the boat on this one. But
yeah,
the funny thing about like the Bitcoin community and Peter Schiff is that they all think and agree on almost everything. That the argument is about US dollars have an infinite supply, they can make more of them, blah, blah, blah. Gold is a limited supply. It has a low inflation rate of 2% a year from what can be possibly drawn out of the ground, and it used to be money and all this. Like there's all of their arguments are almost exactly the same, except gold's returned 0 in 10 years and Bitcoin's returned 16,000%.
cool.
So it's like it's an interesting one. I mean, yeah, Peter Schiff's arguments, I listen to them and I enjoy them. There's been a couple of ones recently where he's starting to be like, I saw him post on Twitter the other day and he was like, catching a private plane with my neighbor, I could have done this if I bought Bitcoin like him, like stuff like that. So maybe he is coming around, who knows? But right now he's a big hater of it.
Yeah, so I think, you know, find people that can help you broaden your knowledge. Don't just treat cryptocurrencies as, you know, a get rich quick scheme. If you're looking for those, whatever you're doing in life, like you'll end up, that will fuck you. Just buy a lottery ticket every week and just hope that one day you know, you're still going to end up worse off. Like you're not going to learn anything doing that. Even if you win it, you're going to end up rinsing all of that cash and being back to square one, being like, oh wow, you know, what's going on here? So every time you find yourself looking for a get rich quick scheme, remind yourself like, okay, what's driving this? And you know, crypto shouldn't be about that for you. It should be about learning and about investing and yeah, just seeing and being a part of it and seeing the world from a different lens and seeing what things come out of that, or the people that you might meet, the conversations you might have, the value you can add to the world in different ways.
Yeah, it's actually like so exciting, man. Like I've met some cool people in the space, and I say this to like in the article that I wrote, I say this, like the people that I know that are in the Bitcoin economy, I call it, are like excited and pumped up and can't wait for the next 5 years. It's super positive. They've got goals that they want to achieve. They've got like financial literacy, like everything is so cool for them. And then like in the like traditional economy, you hear people like, whoa, the stock market's at all-time highs, is like interest rates are going to go up and inflation's going to be expensive, and like it's such a different thing. Like seeing the two sides of that, like I mean, I've been in it for a while now and enjoying the ride, and it probably takes to be in it for a while to get to that stage. But man, I know which one I'd rather choose.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's been good, mate. I said we'll go for 10 minutes, but we're coming up 40, so...
is this just a 10-minute one?
Sorry, Tim. But no, it's good. Covered some good ground there. And like we said at the start, we're not experts in this. There's people that know way more about this than us, and you probably have to look overseas to find some of them. But don't dismiss anything in such a weird time, I guess, is the takeaway from this. And just see what you can learn, see what you feel comfortable doing. We're not suggesting, jump online and quickly move some cash into these things. Always have a smart approach about what you do with your money. But we've both it, and we're just going to share some of the things that we've learnt in the last 9 months to 12.
Yeah, I think we'll jump on again if lockdown carries on, and we'll continue another chat a bit more detail about some of the reasons why it's catching on, and from what I've learned and stuff, because it's pretty cool. We're like, just for everyone, like, this is just us having a chat on here. It's not telling you to go and buy it and stuff. But if anyone does want to read my article, just send me an email or hit me up on Instagram at Mortgage Performance, and I'll flick it through to you, because it's a good entry to have a read and understand why it exists.
Yeah, good man. Yeah, it's eight pages to read there. I think what I liked about you doing that, mate, is you're articulating, you're almost getting all your thoughts out of your head that I read and was like, wow, anyone could understand this. I'd be interested if that's because I've done a lot of study of this myself, but it'd be good to see, if some people read it that have just been introduced to crypto for the first time are like, oh, holy shit, what's going on here? So, I guess, get in touch with Mikey if you want to read that. Just remember as well that, our media, for instance, the first people they go to for commentary around the economy are economists, and a lot of the time they get it wrong. So, you really do have to take some responsibility for your finances and for where you think the world's going, and make some bets on those. And that's exactly what investing is. People are like, you know what, I'm going to bet that Auckland Airport's going to bounce back from this. I'm going to bet that more people are going to send stuff, and main freight and freightways are going to benefit from that, So investing is effectively placing bets on the future to allow you to have a better one yourself. And at some stage, you have to do that, because the way that our economy is currently eroding the value of money, it's hurting a lot of people that have plenty of cash.
Yeah, it's also, inflation hurts the lower bracket too, so it's an interesting one. That's one of my favorite topics. Maybe we'll do another 40 minutes on that next week.
All right, inflation topics. Well, we'll keep them going, mate. Looks like we might be in lockdown for a little bit longer too. So things people want to learn about, like we're, we both have to be, I guess, reasonably careful with the things that we talk about, but these are things that we're doing, so we're free to share our opinion on those. I don't like talking about things that I haven't done myself, because then I can't hold myself accountable when I get it wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, same for me. It's I'm pretty open about that. I'm into it and that I like it and I've learned about it. It's cool, good fun. Feel free to sing out if you want to ask anything.
Cool. All right, team. Enjoy your Saturday. Well done for doing some learning and your weekend as well.